The following podcast is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Alone in the Realm, a premium solo TTRPG podcast. I'm DV, your humble GM and adventurer. Alone in the Realm is a podcast where we let the dice drive the story, and we are along for the ride. No characters beyond death, and we let the dice lay where they fall. We'll be playing Mothership by Tuesday Night Games, and the slasher module, Vibechete by Joel Hines. I'm altering quite a few elements of both the hooks and the storyline to make it a little different from other Vibechete actual plays out there. Without further ado, let's jump into the plot. In Episode 1, our Hasmos crew of 2 teamsters, a scientist, android, and marine arrived at the Hodder Forest Reserve to begin decommissioning the habitat. While enjoying a little leisure time, the teamster Therese was attacked by a mysterious killer. Now, the killer is facing the entire crew, seemingly without concern. Let's set the scene. Mythic Chaos Factor is currently at 6. The crew must escape the slasher, who is implacably stalking them out of the lake. We're going to test the expected scene. We roll a d10, and that gives us a 9 versus our chaos factor of 6. We get the expected scene. Since Denzel and Rowena are the only ones facing the slasher currently, we're going to give both of them a fear save. Denzel fear save, D100, 76 versus 38, a fail, plus 1 stress. Rowena fear save, plus her military training, D100, 48 versus 56, a success. Ada, you, Ollie, and Therese, get back to the ship and contact Hasmos. Let them know there's someone on the station attempting to attack us. Go! Denzel shouts out. He points the laser cutter at the figure as it emerges from the water, carrying a massive Vibchete that hums with vibration. Strung around its neck on a zip tie necklace are a set of grotesque human hands. A red dot appears on the figure as Rowena trains her pulse rifle on it as well. Stand back, or we'll shoot! Denzel shouts out, but the figure either doesn't hear or doesn't care. It continues to walk, slowly and menacingly, toward them. Denzel is about to give the order to fire when he hears Rowena's pulse rifle expel a shot. Rowena attacks the slasher, D100 plus firearms. She gets a 73 versus 60, fail, plus 1 stress. Rowena backs up as she trains the rifle to fire on the approaching figure. Just as she fires, her boot heel catches on the root of the tree, and she stumbles, causing the shot to go wide. Denzel doesn't wait, and he aims his small laser cutter and fires a blast at the person. Denzel attacks Slasher, D100, plus industrial equipment. 77 versus 50, critical fail, plus 1 stress. Denzel pulls the trigger on the cutter, but nothing happens. The LED indicator for overheat flashes, and he knows he has to run a reset cycle on the device before he can use it again. Stupid aging crap Hasmos issues to them. He pushes the button to begin the cycle, then puts it in his pack and draws out the hand welder at his side. He sees Rowena fumble her shot. When she stumbles, the thing rushes forward with its Vibchete and attacks her. Slasher attacks Rowena, D100. 24 versus 65. Hit. Apply 4d10 damage. 23. minus Rowena's 7 armor, 16 damage. That takes her 13 remaining hit points and gives her the first of her 3 available wounds. In Mothership, your characters have an HP pool assigned to each wound slot. When the HP is reduced to 0, they roll on the wound table and their HP is refilled back to full. Once all wounds are taken, they have to roll on a death table. Note it is also possible to die from any wound, even the first one, as that is an option on the wounds table. She now has 1 out of 3 wounds and 11 hit points left. Now I'm going to roll on the D10 wound table. I get a 2. Lower is better on the wound table. The Vibchete is special and requires a roll on the gore and bleeding wound tables. On top of all that, if you take damage higher than your armor amount, which is 7 for Rowena, it destroys your armor, and you don't get that AP bonus anymore. The 2 on the bleeding wound table is blood in your eyes, disadvantage until wiped clean. A 2 on the gore table is digit mangled. In addition to all of that, the Slasher's Vibechete also requires a body save, or something is amputated. We'll roll Rowena's body save, D100, 7 versus 34. Success. The vibrating blade swings down at Rowena and she instinctively raises a hand to block the blow. It slices through her armor and mangles her fingers on her left hand. Blood from the wound sprays all over her face and temporarily blinds her eyes. She attempts to bring her rifle to bear and shoot her attacker through the pain. Rowena attacks Slasher, D100 plus firearms at disadvantage. 87 and a 68. Fail. Plus 1 stress. Denzel attacks the Slasher, D100 plus the industrial. 79 versus 50. Fail. Plus 1 stress. The Slasher bats her rifle aside carelessly and her shot fires into the air. Denzel doesn't approach and instead fires his hand welder from where he stands. The beam of the welder arc doesn't quite reach the target and it fizzles harmlessly against his suit. Regardless, the Slasher's head turns towards him and it presses a button on a panel on its forearm. Suddenly, the artificial daylight disappears and the station is darkened except for an ambient red diode lights in the dome. A friendly sounding female AI voice comes over the loudspeaker.
Emergency lockdown has been initiated. Please report to your assigned muster stations. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
The Slasher then uses that hand to backhand Rowena in front of him. Slasher attacks Rowena, D100. 5 versus a 65. Hit. Unarmed damage, instinct of 60 divided by 10, 6 hit points. Rowena has 5 hit points remaining. Rowena attacks the Slasher, D100 plus firearms, at disadvantage. 59 and a 62 versus 60. Fail. Plus 1 stress. Since she's at point blank range and it's so close to her target value, I'm going to fell forward and do damage anyway, but give her an extra plus 1 stress for Rowena. Now she's at 6 stress. She does 3d10 damage with her pulse rifle. That's 18 minus 7 armor, which is now destroyed, for a damage of 11. The Slasher has 14 hit points left. Denzel pulls out the laser cutter once again and attacks the Slasher, D100 plus industrial. I get a 0-0 critical success. He does 1d50 damage. 7! 7. Wow. Slasher takes 7 hit points and has 7 hit points left. The backhand rings Rowena's ears. but she still presses her rifle against his midsection and fires. The shot penetrates the person's body, and he steps back from the blast. A moment later, the beam of Denzel's laser cutter lances into his helmet, and a big chunk of the dome cracks off. Underneath, instead of a human head, they see a massive chunk of flesh pressed up against the glass of the helmet. It roars an inhuman sound and runs back towards the lake and into the water.
What the hell?
Denzel yells, and he rushes over to Rowena. Are you okay? We have to get you back to the ship and treat those wounds. She grits her teeth as she wipes her own blood from her face and nods her head through the pain. I think the droid has our med kit, she says, through her clenched mouth. She cradles her ruined hand and accepts Denzel's arm around her shoulders as they start moving as quickly as possible back toward the docking bay, looking over their shoulders constantly. Warden note: the slasher has the ability to teleport around the map, and I figured a critical success of a 0-0 warranted him running away for now. He uses nanobots to repair his wounds, and he can repair up to 1 wound per hour. Therese, Ollie, and Ada run past the dance pavilion while Therese frantically dons her clothes. As they near the docking bay entrance, they hear the report of several shots, screaming, and then the announcement over the loudspeakers. The path leading to the docking bay is lit with red emergency lights, and they give an eerie, bloody ambiance to the area. Therese looks around frantically in her pack and pulls out her flashlight. She begins sweeping it around in the surrounding darkness. Ollie does the same. Ada walks up to the now closed docking bay door and presses the open button. It buzzes a loud sound, and over a local speaker, the AI addresses them.
I am sorry, park visitors. We are in a lockdown, and the doors cannot be opened. Please see Park Administration to receive further instructions.
This is an emergency. Please allow us access to our ship. Ada responds to the unseen voice.
I am sorry, park visitors. We are in a lockdown, and the doors cannot be opened. Please see Park Administration to receive further instructions.
Sounds like a recording, Ada scoffs. She pulls out her PCT, or portable computer terminal. Therese, please see if you can remove the panel over this door control. Therese does not respond, and she keeps looking around with one hand to her throat. Therese? The woman startles, and then mumbles something about creepy robots. She takes out her tools and begins working on the panel. While she's doing so, Denzel and Rowena come trotting up. I need patching up, Doc, Rowena says to Ollie. Oh, well, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a doctor of biology, botany, and zoology, he says with a self-importance that's entirely inappropriate during these circumstances. Well, I'm biological, so get to work on these fingers, Rowena snaps. I will attend to your wounds, Ada says, and puts down her PCT and digs into her medkit. Warden note: in Mothership, the first aid kit does not repair any HP. It only stops bleeding and treats minor injuries. Hey, did you get my laser cutter? Therese says to Denzel as she works on the panel. He answers affirmatively as he too looks around with his flashlight. I'm sorry about all of this, guys. I'm sure once we get out of here, Daddy will make sure people are punished for this. Ollie scoffs, and Denzel just looks at her with disgust. Just get the door open, Denzel says bluntly. Warden note: the ambush score resets to 0 when the slasher appears. I'll add 1 back to it for them coming back to the docking bay. So I'm going to roll. D10 plus 1. 6. The slasher only appears if the roll is greater than or equal to 10. Therese makes a flourishing motion as she opens the panel and clears the way for Ada to plug in her PCT. The android finishes up the bandaging of Rowena's hand and connects the door to the control jack. She types away for a moment, trying to override the lockdown to this door. Ada D100 roll, intellect plus hacking. She gets a 63 versus a 73. Success. It appears I cannot override the lockdown from this panel and open the door. It appears we will need to go to the control room on the opposite side of the habitat to interface with the system directly. She unplugs her PCT and looks to Denzel. There is an access corridor near here that we can use to walk around the outside ring of the habitat, or we can cut across the park to get there. By my calculations, we would save 17 minutes by going directly through the park. However, our chances of encountering the enemy persona is greater with that course of action. We need your input, Denzel. Ada says all of this and then shows a map she downloaded to Denzel. The map outlines where they are in relation to where all of the access tunnels lead inside of the park. Mythic fate check. Does Denzel go through the park? Unlikely. I roll a 63. No. After studying the map for a moment, Denzel speaks up. I don't think we should risk passing by the lake again with that guy there. We'll go through the access tunnels. We might find some employees in the locker room hiding out. This explains why they've been out of contact. This serial killer is on the loose. Did you see those hands around his neck? Hopefully, someone out there is still alive. They all murmur their agreement. Ada asks about the hand necklace and Rowena fills them in. Denzel hands the laser cutter back to Therese and warns everyone to keep on their guard, as if they wouldn't anyway. They walk over to the nearest maintenance entrance and open the door to the access tunnels. Despite the lockdown, the lights are on in the corridor, though they flicker constantly. The air is musty and hot, and pipes run along the corridor, occasionally spewing steam into the hallway. A mechanical thrumming noise is pervasive. I'll roll my ambush score +1. I roll a d10, now +2. That equals 5. No slasher. End of scene. That's it for this scene. I hope you enjoyed our first encounter with the villain. Rowena didn't. We'll continue next time to see who can make it out of this habitat from hell. Bye for now.